Hello friends, welcome back to VOWIAS. Welcome to the discussion on Vision IAS Polity PT365 discussion. And this is part 4 of the lecture series, and in this part we are going to cover the fifth topic, that is elections, and all the current affairs with regarding to the elections. So in the previous 3 parts we have covered the first 4 topics, and this is the part 4. Okay, so if you haven't watched the previous parts, I'll leave the link of the playlist in the description. Please go and watch. If you have any queries, you can ask us in the comments as well as in the Telegram channel as well. The Telegram channel details are there in the description. And guys, one more important thing is the document which we are using for the discussion is the summary which we have prepared. Summarizing all the PT365. Okay, so this summary actually will help you, will enhance your preparation, and it will help you to revise the PT365 multiple times very easily. Okay, so let's begin. So in this fifth topic, that is elections, the first one what we have is the simultaneous election. The simultaneous election, actually, the Prime Minister has favored this one nation one election concept, and this one nation one election basically pertains to elections to the Lok Sabha as well as the State Legislative Assembly at one go. So if you see about this simultaneous elections, it means restructuring the whole Indian election cycle in such a manner that the election to the Lok Sabha as well as the state assemblies are synced, and the voters in particular constituency vote twice on the same day. That means both to the center as well as the state. So till 1967 this used to happen, but later on, because of various reasons, like because of the coalition politics and because of various reasons, the governments used to fall in between. The governments never completed 5 years. So during that time, what used to happen is that the elections had to be conducted midway because the government has fallen. So because of that, this cycle of holding simultaneous election both for the center as well as the state has broken down. So once this has broken down, this led to holding of elections at different times in all the 5 years. So because of this, what is happening is the governance is getting hampered, because normally during the elections we will have this model code of conduct, and during this model code of conduct there are a lot of you can say the government has to take a lot of steps. That means no new schemes has to be implemented, and there are a lot of stops on the government, so that the government don't use its power in order to make sure that they get more votes. Okay, so to stop these corrupt practices during elections, the model code of conduct was introduced, and as model code of conduct will be applicable during the elections, the central government will not be in a position to implement most of the governance schemes, most of the schemes for the better governance. Okay, so because of this, the governance is getting hampered. And also another important thing is that because of the more elections, what is happening is the teachers and other government employees, they are getting more troubled, because when there are more elections, who will be participating in the election duty? It is these government officers. Okay, so because of this, what is happening is the normal duty what they have to do, for which they were recruited, is getting delayed. Sorry, excuse me. So it is getting delayed. So the governance is getting hampered. Even a lot of security forces like the CAPF and other security forces have to be deployed. The central police have to be deployed. So because of this also, what is happening is that when the central police is deployed, then the original duty what they have to do is getting affected. Okay, so these are all the negative things. So if you see, this simultaneous election was first proposed by Election Commission in 1983. Later on, the Law Commission, Niti Aayog and Dinesh Goswami Committee on Election Reforms also recommended for the simultaneous election, because a lot of money also will be saved for the Election Commission. And the government has also suggested a common electoral roll for the Panchayat, Municipality, State Assembly and Lok Sabha. Because normally when different electoral rolls are prepared for Panchayat and Municipality separately, for Panchayat, Municipality and State Assembly and Lok Sabha separately, what is happening is that the money is getting wasted, the work is being duplicated, So because to avoid such things, to make sure that the resources are not wasted, the government is suggesting for a common electoral roll for Panchayat, Municipality, State Assembly as well as the Lok Sabha. Okay. The Law Commission also recommended common electoral roll into its 255th report in 2015, and the Election Commission has suggested the same in 1994 and 2004. The constitutional amendment to the Articles 243K and 243ZA would be required to make it mandatory to have a single electoral roll for all elections in the country. So there should be a constitutional amendment. Okay. And if you see Article 83, it talks that the Lok Sabha have to have a term of 5 years from the date of appointment after the first meeting and no longer. So now if the simultaneous elections have to be brought in, then a lot of changes to the constitution have to be done, because previously we have seen that even to have a common electoral roll, the constitutional amendment has to be done. The article 85 talks about the presidential power to dissolve Lok Sabha on the advice of the union cabinet, and article 172 talks about the legislative assembly term, which is maximum term of 5 years, and article 174 say that the governor can dissolve the state legislative assembly on the advice of the state cabinet. Next one, what you have is the electoral bond scheme. And recently the Chief Information Commission ruled that the disclosure of identity of electoral bond scheme of the donors under the RTI Act will not serve any larger public interest, plus it will even violate the provisions of the Act itself, because what is happening is, in this electoral bond scheme, the donors who are donating the money via this electoral bond scheme, their names are not coming out. So because of this, what is happening is, more money is being donated to the parties, even the black money and all is also donated to the parties, and this is creating huge trouble, because one of the main issue with regard to electoral funding is the transparency, but this electoral bond scheme has not increased any transparency, so that is the main issue. So if you see the RTI Act, there is a section 8 in this RTI Act. So remember this section 8, this is important, even you can use this in your mains answer writing. It states that actually it exempts the public authority to give the information to the citizens, okay, based on various rules, okay, because if you see if you see some information like it might be related to the privacy, it might be related to the country's security, etc. Okay, so section 8 exempts the public authority to give citizens information available to a person in his fiduciary relationship unless the competent authority is satisfied that the larger public interest warrants the disclosure of such information. Okay, so this electoral bond scheme, if you see, it's a interest-free financial instrument for making anonymous donations to political parties, which is announced in 2017-18 budget, and a citizen of India or a body incorporated in the country can purchase this. So rupees 1,000, rupees 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh can be purchased from selected SBI branches, and this is not this scheme will not be opened right through the year. Only certain times it will be opened. Only during that time the donations can be given and the bonds can be purchased. And the parties that secured at least 1% of votes in the last Lok Sabha or state assembly elections, they are eligible to get these electoral bonds under the section 29A of RPA Act of 1951. Okay, next is about the NRI voting rights. So recently the Election Commission proposed to permit NRIs to cast their votes from overseas through postal ballots. So what is a postal ballot? Postal ballot is basically a type of voting where electronically transmitted postal ballot are distributed to the electors, are returned by the post currently available to the service voters, like members of the armed services, people employed by the government outside the country, etc. And this has and to extend this system to the overseas voters, the government need to amend the conduct of election rules of 1961, which do not require parliament's nod. Okay, only the government can do that. Okay, so EC has proposed few things. What EC has proposed? EC has informed that the government that it is ready to extend this electronically transmitted postal ballot to the voters abroad for 2021 elections, which are going to be held in Assam, West Bengal, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. And any NRI interested will have to inform the returning officer not later than 5 days after the notification of the election. On receiving such request, the returning officer will dispatch a postal ballot electronically, and the NRI voters will mark the preference on the printout and send it back with a declaration attested by an officer appointed by the diplomatic or consular representative of India in the NRI's country of residence. But there are various concerns. The various concerns are there is a compromise over the secrecy of vote. There is logistic challenge, as well as the outside influence also will be there. And because currently we have about 3.1 crore NRIs living in different countries, and roughly 25,000 flew to India to vote in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, and the voting rights for NRIs were introduced in 2011 through an amendment to the RPA Act of 1950. As we have large NRIs, as the number of NRIs are very large, we can't be sure about how we can ensure that all the people get the voting rights. Okay, the NRI can vote in the constituency in her place of residence as mentioned in the passport, and can only vote in person. The RPA Bill of 2017 proposed to extend proxy voting to overseas Indians, and this lapsed on the dissolution of 16th Lok Sabha. So we have to see if any new amendment bill will be brought in. Okay, so next one is about the Delimitation Commission. Delimitation Commission is basically that commission which delimits, or you can say which changes the sizes of the constituency, you can in simple words. And recently Lok Sabha Speaker nominated 15 MPs to assist this Delimitation Commission. The Delimitation Commission basically fixes the limits or boundaries of territorial constituencies in India. And Article 82 says that Parliament after each census enacts Delimitation Act to establish the Delimitation Commission, and the previous commissions are 1952, 63, 73 and 2002. The composition, if you see, it has a serving or retired Supreme Court judge, the Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commission nominated by the Chief Election Commissioner, and the State Election Commissioner of the concerned state. These are the three members. So remember, who are the three members? Serving or retired Supreme Court judge, Chief Election Commissioner or Election Commissioner nominated by Chief Election Commissioner, and the State Election Commissioner as well. So you have the judicial member as well as the member, or you can say judicial member as well as member from Election Commission, and they will determine the constituency, they will determine the size of the constituency, the number of MPs, etc. And also they will identify seats reserved for SCs and STs. This also will be done. And if you see the current status of the Delimitation Commission, the orders normally the orders of Election Commission, the orders of this Delimitation Commission have the force of law, and this cannot be discussed in the Parliament. It has to be passed by the Parliament. The changes cannot be made to this. Okay, and there has been no Delimitation Commission after 1981 and 1991 census because 84th Constitutional Amendment Act in 2002 froze the delimitation exercise till 2026 because we are looking for the stability in population. Once we get stability in the population, then there is no need of carrying this delimitation exercise timely. Okay, so that is the main reason, because the delimitation exercise will have to actually, they need to have a lot of manpower as well as money power. So you know, to ensure that the Delimitation Commission functions properly, so a time has to be given to them, because normally if it is done after every census, then even people also will not have that clarity about the constituencies, etc. Because frequent changing of constituencies is also not good for democratic stability. Okay, so these are the important things. So next, if you see the right to recall, so recently the Haryana Assembly passed Haryana Panchayati Raj Second Amendment Bill of 2020 to provide right to recall to the members of the Panchayati Raj institutions. Now, what is right to recall? Right to recall is that process where electorate has the power to remove the elected officials before the expiry of their term. So before the expiry of the term, the voters actually, what they can do is they can remove the elected officials. That is the right to recall power. And this bill in Haryana allows for recall of village sarpanches and members of the block level and district level panchayats if they fail to perform their duties. And to recall, 50 members of the ward or Gram Sabha have to give in writing that they want to initiate the proceedings, followed by a process of secret ballot, and this requires 2/3 voting against the member. That is the main thing. So remember, which state has introduced this concept of right to recall? It is Haryana. And this is actually, you can say, this is a part of direct democracy where people are voting directly for decisions. So if you see direct democracy, so it enables public to vote directly on proposed constitutional amendment, law or policy. That is the important thing with this direct democracy. And if you see the instruments of this direct democracy, you have this referendum where people directly vote on specific issues. Outcome is binding on the government. And one of the important referendum in recent times, if you see, there are referendums generally we will be seeing in countries like Switzerland, etc. Even for the Brexit issue, there was a referendum in UK. That also we have seen. And if you see, there is another direct instrument called the plebiscite. Plebiscite is that referendum whereby the result may or may not be binding on the government, but just to know the opinion of the public, it will be held. It will be organized. Okay, so that's the important thing about plebiscite. So if you see some other important news, star campaigners in election is an important concept. And normally every political party will have star campaigners. Generally, a recognized political party will have 40 star campaigners, and an unrecognized political party will have 20. But recently, during the COVID, the Election Commission has reduced the number of star campaigners. So recognized parties now will have only 30 star campaigners instead of 40, and unrecognized will have only 15. And also the period of submission of list is extended to 10 days from 7 days. Okay, star campaigners, basically what does it mean is, so star campaigners, what does it mean is, the star campaigners basically are those people whose expenditure will not be counted as an expenditure for the election. That is the main thing with the star campaigners. The star campaigners are basically the big people who will go on to, actually what they will do is they will actually visit all the constituencies, not only the constituencies from where they are contesting. They will go on to visit all the constituencies and they will support the party. So because of this, what will happen is that the party will get more boost and they will get more visibility. And this is the important provision. What is that? The money incurred in the movement of this star campaigner, it will not be counted as part of the election budget, or you can say election expenditure, which has to be given, or you can say which has to be submitted by the person who is contesting the election. That is the important thing with the star campaigner. And this only applies where a star campaigner limits himself to a general campaign for the political party which she represents. If a candidate or her election agent shares stage with a star campaigner at a rally, then the entire expenditure of that rally, other than the travel expenditures of the star campaigner, is added to the candidate's expenses. So these are the important things what we need to remember. Okay, so this is the important information about star campaigner. Next one is with regard to election expenditure. So in view of this COVID, what is happening is that the election commission has approved a 10% increase in the election expenditure of a candidate, because normally a lot of COVID protocols have to be followed by the candidates, and because of this the expenditure is bound to increase. So that is the reason 10% increase in the election expenditure is allowed by the election commission. Okay, and recently the law ministry also has approved this 10% increase in the election expenditure. So that's why this was news. So normally election expenditure is done according to the Rule 90 of the Conduct of Election Rules of 1961, and the total election expenditure by the candidate should not exceed the maximum limit, and it differs from state to state, and the limit has been fixed for different expenses such as advertisement through print and social media, etc. And there is a limit on the expenditure incurred by the candidate and not by the political party as a whole. The Government of India, via an amendment, has increased the ceiling from 70 lakh to 77 lakh in Lok Sabha, from 28 lakh to 30.8 lakhs in Legislative Assembly elections. That is the important thing. And it is mandatory for all candidates to open a bank account for the expenses, payment of which will be made through check only. And candidates must furnish their expenditure statement within 30 days of the completion of elections. And if there is any incorrect reporting with regarding to the elections, then this will also attract disqualification for up to 3 years. Okay, so these are the important provisions with regarding to the election expenditure that we need to know from the examination point of view. So next one is AWEB. AWEB was in news. So AWEB is nothing but an association of world election bodies, and last year India was the chair. So that's why this was in news. So the Election Commission of India has completed 1 year of chairmanship of this AWEB, and organized an international webinar on issues, challenges and protocols for conducting of elections during COVID-19. This AWEB is basically the largest association of election management bodies worldwide, and it was established in 2003 in South Korea, and secretariat is in Seoul, South Korea. It has 115 members, and India took over the chairmanship for 2019-21. And AWEB Center was established at Delhi for training and capacity building, and sharing the best practices, and it aims to strengthen the process of election management in the member countries, and it undertakes election visitor and observing programs in various countries. Okay, so next one is some information regarding opinion and exit poll. So Election Commission of India has issued advisories regarding opinion and exit polls. Opinion poll, if you see, is nothing but it is conducted before voting. It is just to know the opinion of the voters. Next one is the exit poll. Exit poll is basically the poll which is conducted after the elections to find the potential winner. So that is the difference between opinion poll and exit poll. And recently EC said that exit poll can be telecast only after the final phase of the polling, and no opinion poll can be conducted for constituencies that had already voted. Okay, so only before voting the opinion poll can be conducted, and the exit poll can be conducted only after the final phase of the elections. Okay, so that is the important information about this opinion and exit polls. So that's it, guys, from my side. I'll see you in the next part. But before going, just a small information regarding our initiatives. These are our initiatives: the Vision PT365 summary, Vision Prelims Test Series summary, Vision Mains Test Series summary, and Vision Monthly Magazine summary as well. We are providing all of these things to ensure that your preparation becomes easy, because we know what is the importance of revision, and in order to ensure that you revise the things multiple times in order to clear prelims with flying colors, we have brought these initiatives. Do check the quality of these initiatives from our Telegram channel, whose details are there in the description. That's it, guys, from my side. I'll see you again in the next video. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.